Hi and welcome. For those who haven't come across me yet, my name is Erika Helps. I'm the Debt Advice Commissioning Lead here at MAPS. Whether you're new to community-based debt advice engagement or have been involved before, we hope you find this short video update clear and helpful. So in terms of the purpose of today's update, we want to share our revised approach to eligibility criteria, shaped by your feedback when we tested our proposed approach earlier this year. We're also inviting expressions of interest from potential lead grant holders across all regions and sub-regions based on these new eligibility criteria. We'd also like to encourage you to sign up for the next round of events, which is taking place in the new year, but more on that later. First, my colleague James is going to take us through the next few slides on eligibility.
Thanks, Erica. Hi, everyone. So I'm James Buller. I'm the Grant Programme Lead here at MAPS. Before we get onto the eligibility criteria for CBDA, we just wanted to outline why it is we have any in the first place. What is the purpose of eligibility criteria? And the first one, as you see on the screen, is about fairness. It's to ensure we've got a published set of rules that we apply consistently for all applicants. And we use those rules to help us target who we think the right potential applicants or recipients of the funding are, i.e. those that are best aligned with the scheme's goals. We also use them to save time and resources, not just from our perspective, but more importantly from the sector. We don't want hundreds of organisations taking time and effort and energy submitting bids that ultimately we're not able to support. So it's a way of filtering out ineligible bids early. And then in terms of 4 and 5, compliance and risk, this is about ensuring that the public funding we have goes to organisations that are safe, secure, financially sound, both now and for the duration of the grant term, which could be up to 9 years in duration. So in terms of what we said so far about eligibility, the information on the right-hand side are the slides we shared previously at the in-person events and at the webinar. And on the left-hand side is what we heard back from you from those events and the survey. And you can see some really strong reoccurring themes came through. The two big ticket items were concerns around turnover thresholds and how there could be a barrier to participation, and also the cost and time implication around Cyber Essentials Plus. So it's been those two areas we've spent a lot of time thinking about how best to approach these concerns, and we can now talk you through what our intentions are. So starting with financial thresholds, now we normally have these in place to help ensure applicants have the financial stability and capacity to manage the grant responsibly, to help us with vetting to reduce financial risks effectively. And the typical approach from the public sector, which is the one we shared at those events previously, is that the rule of thumb is that the annual turnover of the lead organisation should be between ×1 and ×1.5 the value of the annual fund. Now, we heard strongly from you that that is problematic, that if we were to impose this strongly, even at the lower level of 1-to-1 ratio, we would greatly restrict the number of eligible organisations, and we would create a barrier for potentially strong organisations from coming forward to be a lead applicant. So we've changed our approach to this, which we've outlined on the next slide. So essentially, we will remove the requirement for a minimum financial threshold ratio to be met at stage 1. Instead, we're going to ask the lead applicant to submit their previous 3 years of audited accounts at stage 1. Plus, if known at that point, we'd like the accounts from any key delivery partners that you've got in place. Those are any sub-grantees that are likely to receive in excess of £250,000. So if you've got those, please submit those accounts as well. And then as part of the stage 1 due diligence, we will assess the financial information. We will look at the 1-to-1 revenue ratio. If you don't meet that, that's not a problem. We will look at other ratios that have been suggested to us by the government commercial function for use with the VCSE sector, such as operating ratios and reserves. And if those thresholds aren't met, then again, that's not a problem. We'll just review any other supplementary information you provided us about your financial stability. And essentially, if we minded to take your project through to the second stage, i.e. if you're shortlisted, we will address or flag to you any of those issues or concerns as part of the stage 1 feedback, and you'll have the whole of the stage 2 process to address those concerns, to give us further assurance on your financial health, which may include a combination of providing us additional supplementary assurance from your other funders or partners. You may be able to get a guarantor. There may be other ways of evidencing your financial health. Once we've got all that information, we'll then do the formal financial health assessment at stage 2, linked to the value for money and sustainability assessment. So in essence, no applicants will be excluded at stage 1, purely down to financial concerns. In terms of Cyber Essentials Plus, this is the UK-backed scheme for ensuring the correct security measures are in place. Given the sensitivity of the data you're dealing with, given the prevalence of cyber attacks in the world, Cyber Essentials Plus will remain a requirement for all MAPS funded projects going forward, but we are going to change the point in when we need you to be certified. So at the initial events in August and September, we said all lead applicants need to be Cyber Essential Plus certified at stage 1 application with all other partners before point of delivery. We heard really clearly from you that that is a problem, and therefore we've slightly changed our approach to this as well. So what we're asking for then, for the lead organisations and your key delivery partners, so they are significant sub-grantees, if you don't have Cyber Essentials Plus at stage 1, that's okay, but you need to give us commitment at stage 1 that you will work towards getting certified, and that certification needs to be complete during mobilisation, which is likely to be in the summer of 2027, so plenty of time to get to that point. For any smaller sub-grantees or any other contractors handling sensitive data, again, we'll need commitment at stage 1 that they will work towards getting Cyber Essentials Plus, but they won't need to be certified until the point of delivery, which in their case will be April 28 or after that point. So again, plenty of time for them to work through those requirements. Any sub-grantee or contractor not handling sensitive data won't need to provide any Cyber Essentials information. This slide outlines the other eligibility criteria, many of which we've already discussed at previous events. What we're trying to do in the middle 3 columns is be really clear what is expected by who and by when. So starting with FCA authorisation, we need the leads to either have FCA authorisation at point of stage 1 application or to have achieved minded to approve status by that point. In terms of MAPS accredited quality standard, if you don't hold it by stage 1 as a lead applicant, that's okay, but you need to commit to holding it by point of award. For debt advice, the lead applicant must be delivering regulated debt advice services. You need to self-certify that at stage 1. For insurance, we've shared this with you previously, the numbers haven't changed. The lead applicant will need to provide evidence that they meet these requirements at stage 1. All other debt providers or non-debt providers will need to do this at a later stage. And in terms of data protection and GDPR, again, as the lead, we need evidence that you comply with it at stage 1. The others can provide that evidence at stage 2 by the very latest. In terms of governance, we'll be looking at your legal status, we'll be looking at the information on Companies House and or the Charities Commission. We'll be looking at the accounts we mentioned earlier. And as the lead, you need to meet those requirements at stage 1. The information for the other partners, the other debt advice providers, will need by stage 2. If you can provide it earlier, great, but if not, we need it by stage 2. And then the final one on the table, supplier security assessment questionnaire. This isn't eligibility criteria, we're just flagging this as something we'll need from the preferred applicants. So those that we're minded to support further down the line, we'll all need that to be completed in due course. So nothing to be concerned about at this point in time. And then finally for me, there's 2 other eligibility criteria areas that we're still working through. We're still working through what our expectations and requirements are going to be around cyber insurance and also around personal security in terms of the personal security checks for client-facing roles. We're seeking some advice from DWP on these. Once we've made some firm decisions, we'll come back to you and confirm what the situation is with those as well. But for now, I'll hand back to Erika.
Thanks, James. So we're really pleased to announce today that our expression of interest process is now open for potential lead grant holders in all regions, both for round 1 and round 2. So registering interest is fairly straightforward. There is no firm commitment at this stage. If you register an expression of interest now in being a lead grant holder, you can still withdraw at any time, but by signing up early, you'll help us plan and deliver the support you need to build those strong local partnerships and proposals which will underpin any successful grant application. So to register, there's a Microsoft form on our MAPS CBDA webpage. We're asking people wherever possible to register before the 19th of December so we can do that planning for the support that we will put in place early into next year. The form will ask for your organisational details, key contacts and the regions that you're interested in. You'll also be asked to acknowledge the revised eligibility criteria and to share any reflections on these. And there's a chance to let us know about any progress that you've made already in building local connections and partnerships. All of this will help us tailor our support for you as we head into next year. Whilst we really want you to sign up early as possible for registrations of expressions of interest, this will stay open until the grant competition opens in your area. So if you're not decided as yet, there's still plenty of time to get involved if you decide to register later. So to take you on to our upcoming engagement in the new year, we're looking ahead to a series of in-person engagement sessions planned for the regions and sub-regions who are involved in round 1 in January and February. So that's the East Midlands, West Midlands, North West and Yorkshire and Humber. We'll also be delivering an online webinar, which will cover some of the content delivered at the in-person events, which is going to be focused on the application process itself. So anyone who isn't involved in round 1, we would strongly encourage you still to engage with that particular session to make sure that you can influence the grant application process, whether you're involved in round 1 or round 2, and for anybody who is unable to attend those in-person sessions. So the in-person events will be specifically tailored for each region or sub-region. We'll cover a lot-specific networking opportunity where any organisation interested in being involved in service delivery or part of a wider partnership, whether you're lead grant holder, sub-grantee or external partner, will have an opportunity to platform your organisation, setting out your key strengths, the reach that you have, your client focus, and any specialisms such as training, technology, or other areas of particular expertise. We'll offer focus sessions on key topics such as partnership formation, approaches to partnership finances, training considerations, and approaches to technology for diverse partnerships. Anyone registering to attend an event will select the things that they are most interested in from a list included on that event registration form. All session content delivered for these events will be made available on the community-based debt advice microsite after the events have concluded. So we'll make sure that the information we share with one organisation or one region is shared so it can benefit everybody. The afternoon sessions will be focused specifically on the application criteria process and questions, and those are the sessions that we will make sure are delivered as an online event after the end of the in-person events. So registration is open now. Again, it's on our microsite, and we're really looking forward to seeing people in person again and building on those sessions we held in August and September towards making sure that we set up services for success in terms of the future for community-based debt advice. So finally, I'd just like to say thank you for your interest and for taking the time to watch this presentation. I'd like to encourage you to register your expression of interest and to sign up for community or online events via that community-based debt advice microsite as soon as possible so that we can get the content right for you. If you do have any questions based on the content we've delivered today, please do feel free to email us at commercial@maps.org.uk. So thanks again and have a good rest of your day.